If you think that talent is the way to success, you're looking in the wrong place because talent might give you a head start, but what really keeps you going is your identity. With identity comes commitment, discipline, and consistency. So, in this video, we're talking about why identity matters more than talent and how to use it as a tool for your growth as a musician. Hey everyone, Mark here. Welcome back to another episode of Mindset of a Musician. Today I want to talk about something that completely changed how I approach music and honestly how I approach life in general, and that is identity. I briefly touched on this in my video about atomic habits for musicians. If you want to watch that, I'll leave a link up here. But today I want to go a little deeper because identity can either move you forward or it can quietly hold you back. So let's start with why identity matters more than talent. I once attended a guitar workshop with Josh Smith, who is in my opinion one of the greatest blues guitar players of our time. And someone asked him what he thinks about talent. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something like, "I don't believe in talent, I only see the hours someone has put into their playing." And that stuck with me because at the end of the day, the hours you invest into your craft, guitar, vocals, songwriting, producing, mixing, whatever, it will always outperform talent. And for sure, some people learn faster, some have natural advantages, but over time, one thing is for sure, and that is consistency beats talent every single time. And here's the danger. If you rely on talent, you're more likely to become lazy because things will come easy, at least in the beginning. But if your identity is rooted in being a humble musician, everything changes. You start acting differently. You look for opportunities to improve. You surround yourself with better players. You stay humble. And you don't want to be the Mr. Know-it-all in the room. You want to be the one who learns the most. In the book Atomic Habits, James Clear writes, "Outcomes are about what you get, processes are about what you do, and identity is about your belief." And that is the key. Your behavior is a reflection of your identity. So if you truly see yourself as a musician, you will act like one. If you're a guitarist, you practice. If you're a singer, you sing. Even when I was working a 9-to-5 job, I told everyone I'm a singer, guitarist, and songwriter because that's who I was. And that identity made me come home after work and practice instead of watching TV. And that identity also made me quit that job. So, talent might give you a head start, but identity determines how far you go. So, now let's talk about something most people overlook, and that is why having multiple identities actually matters. If you're a musician today, you already know one thing. It is not enough to just be a musician anymore, unless you have a lot of money on the side, of course. Because being an artist today also means creating content, marketing yourself, booking shows, handling your finances, recording and producing, and maybe even mixing and mastering your own songs. And for a long time, I ignored that because my identity was only rooted in being a musician. I wanted to write songs, practice, and play shows, and that's it. Everything else felt like a burden. So content creation felt like a chore, something I had to do, not something I believed in. And because of that, I did it half-hearted. And only when I started shifting my identity, I started seeing myself not only as a musician, but also as a content creator. So once my identity changed, my behavior changed as well. I started thinking differently, acting differently, and taking it seriously. So having multiple identities doesn't weaken who you are, it strengthens it. And each identity supports the other. So for example, for most of my life, I completely ignored another identity, and that is being an athlete. Of course, I'm not an athlete yet, but I'm striving to be one. And once I started seeing myself that way, I started to train more. I took care of my body. I built discipline outside of music. I started reading books about running, longevity, food, about focus. I watched videos about cycling and swimming, all that stuff. So I surrounded myself with like-minded people who are already athletes who I could learn from. And that also had a direct impact on my music. So keep that in mind. Your identity shapes your habits, and your habits shape your results. So now the question is, which identities are you living from? And which are the ones you're still avoiding? Now let's talk about how to actually find your identity, and more importantly, how to live it. If you know what's important for your life and your music career, you also have to be honest with yourself. Where are you procrastinating? Is it booking shows, or creating content, or practicing your instrument? Whatever it is, write those things down. Everything you keep avoiding, because that's where your next identity is. If you're not consistent with content, start thinking like a content creator. Learn the skill, watch videos, read books, study people who are great at it, and surround yourself with people who take it seriously. And most importantly, make time for it. Plan it and execute it. Because if it matters to you, you will make time for it. And in the end, that's what a content creator does. And if you're not improving on your instrument, for example, do the same. Study the greats, watch interviews, learn how they practice, and then plan time in your day for focused, uninterrupted practice. Because that's what musicians do. And it's easy to say, I'm this kind of person, but if you don't live it, it means nothing. Identity is not what you say, it's what you repeatedly do. A singer doesn't only sing on stage. An artist doesn't only create when they feel inspired. They show up every single day. So if you want to change your results, don't change your goals, change your identity. And live it every single day. So now let's talk about something important in the last chapter, and that is the danger of identity. So this might be the more philosophical part of this video. What I've learned over the years is this. If you tie your identity too tightly to what you do, it can become dangerous. The Shaolin master Xiang Yi often talks about separating your identity from your true self. And we see this everywhere, in music, in sports, and in every career-driven path. Olympic athletes fall into depression after winning a gold medal. Musicians lose themselves in destructive lifestyles because their entire identity is built on one thing. And when that thing is gone, that's when people feel lost, because our society teaches us to be someone. A successful artist, a professional athlete, a high achiever. But if that success doesn't come or suddenly disappears, who are you then? So I experienced a small version of that myself. I love running because running is something that sparks my creativity in a way that not many other things do. So last year I had to stop running completely because I think I overtrained. But I was diagnosed with patellar tendonitis, aka jumper's knee. So I had to search for other ways to get my cardio in, and then I started swimming and cycling, although at first I hated it. But over time I started to love it, and part of that is, I think, because my identity is not rooted in being a runner, it's rooted in being an athlete. So instead of complaining about my situation, I searched for solutions. And I mean, I'm doing the best I can for my knee and trying to get back into running as soon as I can, but it takes time. And I think those 9 months that I'm off from running now were really good invested into cross training. So over time, I started to enjoy it. But the real lesson that I've learned is this. Even when I had to stop running completely, I was still me. Because your true self is not your identity. Your identity is something you build, something you can change, and something you can outgrow. But your true self, that is still there. So yes, build powerful identities. Use them to grow. Use them to move forward. But don't lose yourself in them. So I hope this video gave you a different perspective on identities. If it did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to dive deeper into topics like this, Feel free to join me in my Mindset Monday newsletter. Link is in the description. Also, let me know what you think about identities. So, thanks so much for watching and see you in the next one.